I'm Anvil.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're going to talk about it all. You're going to get to hear us and see us. This is going to be one of those nights, one of those crazy old nights, as the song goes. So tonight it's President's Day today.
Yes,
it is President's Day today. And that is not going to be the focus. God forbid that be the focus of our
No, that'd be a very extremely boring show.
It would be extremely boring. Considering our current president, we probably forgot what we were going to say. So
yeah.
You know, the thing.
The thing?
Forgettios.
Did
you see that? Did you see what I saying?
Who said what?
The thing.
What thing?
I think the picture, the spaghetti can that's called Forgettios. Okay. Anyways, but tonight we're going to talk about aliens.
Yes,
discuss aliens a little bit.
Yeah, we are going to discuss aliens a little bit.
Just been on me to watch a movie for months.
Yeah.
Called The Phantom Rider, and once I watched it, I'm like, God, this is vaguely familiar, and it's connected to a couple other movies that I'd seen, at least one, and then I went and watched a third one. So it was like a marathon. Movie watch, and it was kind of interesting. So we'll talk about that a little bit, and we'll talk about some of the current events that are going on, some updates to the things we've been talking about the last 4 weeks.
Well, Putin declared 2 areas of disputed territories in Ukraine independent nations today, which kind of frees him up to send in troops on, at least in his mind. And it is the Russian-speaking areas to begin with, and they probably identify more Russian than do Ukraine, regardless. Not saying it's right, just saying.
No,
geopolitical bullshit. And in these towns have changed hands many times. One day you would go in, and this has been going on for 4 or 5 years. You would go in tomorrow, or if this wasn't happening, obviously, and you could see a Ukrainian flag flying. And then you could go in the next day and you would see a Russian flag flying. They take turns raising their flags and imprisoning the local police. I mean, it's crazy stuff. You have to watch some of the videos to really understand what's going on there. But so that's going on. So now I'm sure the sanctions will start. And we had talked about this prior. We had talked about prior years ago about how Russia fights wars. I remember I brought this up in a podcast about how when Russia went into Syria, in the first day that Russia opened up air attacks in Syria, they dropped more bombs in one day than we did in an entire 2-year period when we were engaged in Syria. One day. They don't play around. Russia has a completely different look of warfare. They don't care about schools. They don't care about churches. They don't care about women and children.
No.
It's total warfare.
No collateral damage. It's all damage.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, everything gets leveled. This is going. If it's a true, if the Ukrainians put up a good fight, which I'm sure they will, the Russians are going to unleash unholy hell on them. As I said before, I predicted that it would go very well for Russia at first, but I think the tide will change. More of a guerrilla warfare, more kind of like Afghanistan actually was for the Russians and for us, for that matter. And it won't be as easy as it looks at the beginning, I guess is the best way to put it. But regardless, that's what's going on. It's going to accelerate quickly, maybe even tonight, early tomorrow morning. The Russians could launch their full-fledged invasion. So a lot of craziness going on. And what I think is really sad about it is, Russia, Putin, delivered all kinds of crazy, things he wanted in order to have peace.
Yep.
A lot of the shit was just nuts, like Polar tropes. Latvia had to leave NATO, and some other countries, and Poland had to leave. All this crazy stuff that was never going to happen, and he knew that. But the one he really wanted, the one that really mattered, was Ukraine wouldn't be allowed to join NATO, and technically they can't anyway because they're already occupied. So it's part of the process that certain things have to be met for a country to join NATO. Ukraine is missing there's a 10-step program. We'll say it's missing 6 of those key 10 aspects. Crime and corruption is 2 of the biggest deals in Ukraine, and why they couldn't join. So for us not to guarantee it to prevent a war is just beyond stupidity. It's just NATO and the United States really poking Russia right in the eye basically telling you to go fuck off. We don't care if we're going to put NATO troops right on your border. He's already got, technically, once Ukraine became part of NATO, he'd be surrounded by NATO on basically three sides. You can if you were, I think, if someone was fair-minded, they could look at it from a Russian standpoint, understand the fears are, legit, very legit. It would be the same as if, Russia signed a treaty with Canada, and all of a sudden, or Mexico for that matter, all of a sudden we had missiles and Russian troops sitting on the border in Mexico or Canada facing the United States. Obviously we wouldn't stand for that. We wouldn't be okay with it. And this is the same. It's actually exactly the same thing. Where North America and South America are more of our sphere of influence, Russia's sphere of influence is in the region that they are in. And regardless if we like it or not, they're still a superpower. They may not be a superpower in the sense of economics as they were with the Soviet Union and influence, but they definitely are a superpower at nuclear weapons. That can't be disputed. In fact, they have more nuclear weapons than we do. That's what's going on.
No, it is. It was funny because I was listening on the way to work, my real job, and the correspondent that covers that area, she was saying the same thing. Is that when she talked, I guess there was some kind of peace meeting in France. Was it France?
Yeah, with the French president.
Moron. And very little was reported on that by mainstream media.
Right.
But basically, the president of Ukraine saying, we've been at this. This has been going on for 8 years.
Right. Where have
and
you been?
No one's giving a shit.
Yeah.
And where you been exactly? So think that and I didn't have a chance to research this, but I guess when the Soviet Union collapsed, there was a lot of nuclear weapons floating around.
Yep.
And someone made the comment, I don't know how accurate this is, so don't quote me on this specifically, but when the Soviet Union collapsed, Ukraine was all of a sudden the third biggest country with nuclear weapons at their disposal.
I don't know if they were the third biggest. I honestly don't know that, but they did have nuclear weapons, which they turned over. They turned as part of an agreement with Russia.
Yeah. So that was kind of. So I think we kind of taught them into doing that too, right? Turning them over.
Well, I don't. Yeah, there was a lot of agreements going back and forth when this all happened, and there was the accords where NATO wouldn't expand into former Warsaw Pact countries. Warsaw Pact being the Soviet Union and the other countries that were part of Warsaw, Romania, Poland, were all Warsaw, Lithuania, Latvia. All these countries were part of the Warsaw Pact.
Right.
So there was all these agreements that got thrown out the door after so many X amount of years. NATO just started expanding. But yeah, to get back to your point, yes, Ukraine had quite a few nuclear weapons, nuclear warheads, missile technology and such. And
birth of a brand new country with.
Yeah.
Hello.
And Putin makes a good point that Ukraine is always part of Russia. Even before Lenin and Stalin, there was a lot of conflicts. Ukraine was, taken away from the Ottoman Empire and all this other stuff. I mean, it's just a lot of history there. Yeah. But for the most part, Ukraine has been in very close conjunction with Russia, for decades and decades and decades. Kamala Harris, that's how you say her name.
Kamala?
Yeah, whatever. Well, she was in Europe yesterday and today.
Yeah, she was at these talks.
And she made herself an ass. I mean, she went on to say, she actually said this. She said Europe has had 70 years of peace since World War 70 years of peace since World War II. And everybody was like, what did she forget about the the Yugoslavian wars and the Serbia breaking up and genocide and the Cold War and 7 years of.
I'm pretty sure
you couldn't be more misinformed of European history than this woman. Please let me know.
She was in France. I'm pretty sure she meant France.
Yeah, I don't know what she meant. I was like, what is she talking about?
Of course, in all fairness, France surrendered almost immediately in World War II. So
and then
they've had peace going on the whole time.
Then she wore this stupid 2-inch thick mask. You couldn't understand what the hell. I couldn't understand her. I had to turn on the closed captioning on the TV to understand what the hell she was actually talking about. Then I understood what she was saying, and I'm like, oh my gosh. This is just, is this real? This is our vice president. This is
our vice president. It is our vice president.
You know, and what was, I don't know, was more craziness or just fear of the current president of Ukraine, but you know, he's like, I'm off to peace talks, I'm out. You know, Wednesday, you know, they thought for sure it was a media invasion. He was out. He was already on his way to Europe for peace talks. He was waiting around because, you know, hey, if you're going to invade, you want that guy. You want his head on a chopping block.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I understand where he's going, but you don't show a lot of faith in your people when you're running out of the country with, you know, when the big bad wolf's banging on the door. You're going out the back door. I'm out.
Sadly, our vice president, she's probably more effective with stuff going in her mouth than stuff coming out of her mouth. But I'm not one to judge, so we'll just let that go at that one. Speaking,
this is not, to me, this isn't a big surprise with the Russians. They did a test run almost a year ago in March. Remember, they had 80, 90,000 troops sitting on the border and was worried then. We talked about it.
We talked about it. No one else was. We were.
Yeah, we were talking about it. And they had these huge drills going on and blah, blah, blah. And then, so Putin pulled back then. Nothing bad happened. No sanctions were filed, blah, blah, blah. Nothing happened. He pulled back on his own. And I think that was a test to see how the Western countries were going to react. And that was a test. So then we had the Afghanistan fiasco happen where we pulled out of Afghanistan and the shit hit the fan. He saw that. And he's like, oh, yeah, fuck this. These guys are pussies. This isn't the same NATO. This ain't the same NATO was, 20, 30 years ago. You guys are fucking pussies. So, excuse my language. So he's making a very good calculation that we ain't going to do shit in the long run. And I think we're not going to. Sure, we're going to do sanctions, blah, blah, blah. But the overriding factor is Europe needs Putin's energy sources. They have gotten rid of the nuclear reactors. Mm-hmm. They've gotten rid of their coal. They're going to wind and solar, which cannot nearly produce enough what they need.
No.
They rely on Russia's natural gas. They absolutely rely on it, and they cannot survive without it. And anyone with a brain can see this. And Putin knows that. He knows in the long run that European countries have to come back to him. And there'll be infighting. There's going to be a lot of infighting between European countries because people are like, well, F you, I need the energy. And the European Union is like, no, you don't. And then you're going to have a very similar incident with, the Brexit.
Yep.
Where you're like, you know what? I'm out. I don't need to be a part of this union anymore. I need the energy. This had nothing to do with us.
All right.
And you're going to start. I think that's what's going to happen. I think it'll take a few years, but Europe really needs that energy source. There's no doubt about it. Russia needs Europe, and Europe needs Russia. That's what it boils down to. So,
yeah, at this point, does he really need to take over all Ukraine right now?
No, he doesn't.
So
I don't think he will.
I'm guessing he's just gonna be happy with these. He's come out in support of the Russian, not back, but Russian leaning separatists on these two areas, and I think that eastern part of Ukraine is kind of industrial. So I don't know if they're saying the mining and stuff. Ukraine's got a bunch of stuff under their ground.
They got stuff.
They got stuff. They want stuff. They got stuff. This could just be incremental. Like, okay, I got these two, and I'll come out in favor of the separatists and saying we're backing them. And now I've just taken this little bite out of Ukraine without ever actually technically invading.
True.
It was a separatist. It wasn't me.
It wasn't us.
It wasn't us.
It wasn't us. We didn't do it. I'm innocent.
I'm recognizing their claim to be a separate nation. This is just a giant shit show, and it's going to continue to be one because this is just step one. Pull back. It's like fishing. When you're fishing, you pull on the line, reel them in a little bit, and then you give them some slack.
Right. Slick Max.
Exactly. So we're at the slack point of it, where he's going to back away from this. He's going to sell his energy. He's going to be semi-nice until he wants to take another bite out of the Ukraine.
Right. Well, what?
Wouldn't you think?
Yeah. Well,
maybe it's me. If I was.
Yeah. And what really sucks for us Americans is we're already seeing inflation at records. Record inflation. And I don't know. I got gas for my Hummer. I think I told you this the other day. 2 weeks ago it was $3.79 a gallon for 93 octane.
Send out a loan.
Yeah, 93 octane, right? $3.79.
Today, over $4.
Today it was $4, and I think it was $4.19 a gallon for 93 octane.
Yeah, because the cheap gas is $3.70.
Yeah, but I can't run cheap gas now.
I know that.
Programmed for this, that, and the other thing, so I got to run the high shit. So, but the point I'm making is we're already seeing inflation. We're already seeing record inflation. The prices are going up across the board for everything. Everyone can see it that's watching the show. They know what's going on. They're not stupid. What's going to make this worse is the oil is going to go through the roof probably tonight and tomorrow, and gas prices are going to be even worse. And what goes on in Ukraine is going to affect everybody globally because prices are going to go nuts. They're literally, especially the oil. And here's what's crazy is we gave the AOK for this brand new gas line for Russia to Germany. We get AOK, right? And now we're saying it's off the table. It's not going to stop. It's going to go through. But we get AOK for it. But at the same time, we canceled the pipeline. Yeah, our pipeline.
Our pipeline.
So it was okay to give the Russians what they wanted to help them and help Germany, but it wasn't okay to give us what we needed to help us.
To maintain our
And this was the Biden administration, 110% again, folks.
Day one.
Yeah, day one.
Day one.
First day in office, he did this. So we're screwed. You think gas prices now are bad now? Wait a month from now, you're really going to see gas prices. Holy shit. People have no idea what they're in for. None whatsoever. I'm going to be riding a bike to work. I got a 10 speed over there.
Me, on the other hand.
Yeah, you.
I
only got 2 miles going to work.
Cut my ass off to get to work. So, yeah, so that's the across the pond news. Since we're on it, let's keep rolling.
Yeah. What else you got for across the pond?
Canada, nothing across the pond, but our neighbors to the north.
Canadians.
The Canadians. Let me tell you, this Trudeau guy is a huge, allegedly cocksucker.
No, he's like the prime minister or something.
He's bucking for something else. So I don't know if with everything going on in Ukraine, I'm from following the Canadian stuff that's going on.
No. Yeah.
So pretty much,
he's guy with the little body and the big head.
Yeah. Just in the last week, things have gotten crazier.
He's got a real big head.
So he's declared, sort of like Governor Cuomo declared state of emergency. He's declared a national emergency powers and basically unleashed the Royal Canadian Mountain Police and whoever else on these protesters. Just this weekend alone, 300 arrests. Canadian government will say there were no injuries, but there's video of this. I won't say she's an old woman, but she's not a young chick either, being trampled by a Canadian horse with a cop on it. Bank accounts are being seized and frozen as part of these emergency measures. The government gets with the bank closes down accounts, shutting off people. No warning, no warrant, no nothing. Just this is like our Patriot Act where they say you're a terrorist and you're headed to Guantanamo Bay, and no one hears from you for 15 years, and no one is legally bound to give you any information that you're missing. So Trudeau, he's it's crazy. I feel bad for these people. They are a cautionary tale for us, and we can sit here and say, well, that'll never happen here. That'll never happen here. But
it happened here.
It may not be. Well, I don't think it's this extreme. They didn't.
No, not the extreme that happened there. But look, I had my bank account seized by the IRS. They can seize your bank account any fucking time they want.
IRS at the whole.
Anytime they want.
That's a whole nother show.
Yeah, they don't fuck around.
That's a whole nother show. So yes, the Freedom Convoy.
We love the IRS, by the way. We're very happy. We love you.
We file every year properly. So the Freedom Convoy is Canadian public enemy number one. Anyone connected to the Freedom Convoy relatives, if you donated, you might want to take your money out and put it in a mattress, because I've heard, again, stories coming out of Canada saying if you donated, if you're listed as a donator, they will shut down your bank account, freeze your assets, so you can't donate anymore. So please be aware of that. On the bright side, today is President's Day.
Yes.
And today marks the first day, the inaugural launch of Truth Social.
Oh,
which is
Mr.
Don's social media platform.
Yes, the former president. Yes,
former president. I'll tell you, I don't think it's going as smoothly as he would want.
Probably not.
I know. I was on a pre-list for the app for my phone. I think you can only get it through Apple. So if you got an Android phone, it might be tough getting the app. But it's available online as well. But when I finally got through at noon today to get my account established, they said, "Thank you. We love you. We'll be with you as soon as we can. Your number in the queue is..."
That's what that was.
Your number in the queue is 175,830.
Yeah, so he sent me this text today. What this? I'm like, what the hell is he doing? What is this? I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. I'm at work and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
So I'm in the queue. I'm way up there in the number. And that was at noon today. So I can only imagine how big that number is right now. It doesn't let you refresh the queue. It just shows you your number in the queue to when you'll actually have access to the site. So we'll wait until what happens with that.
He'll get it smoothed out.
He's
going to announce
he's
going to announce his bid for presidency.
Absolutely.
Man, on that whole platform. That's where it's going.
Absolutely.
So
let's get into the topic that we want to get into today. We'll come back to some of the stuff later.
My ex-wife?
No.
Okay.
I think everyone's been in that topic.
Yes, they have.
Yes, they have. So back to what we're talking. Jeff had me watch the show. Been trying me to watch Phantom Rider.
Yes, I watched the other ones too. I just forgot I watched them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I watched it, and it looked vaguely familiar. The people looked vaguely familiar. So I had to go back through, and the one guy, Craig Powell, is actually a paranormal investigator out of Australia.
Yes, he is.
The West Sydney Paranormal Research, or Whisper.
Right. I think it's important to interject just at a particular moment in time that he is staying away from the UFO alien field. And I do not blame him. He had very serious threats against himself and his family. And the family thing would scare the shit out of me. Myself, whatever. But my kids, when you fuck with someone's kids and threats, that's not cool. So these fucking entities suck balls. Go ahead.
Anyways, yes, he's trying to stay away from that. The documentarian that was working with him was a gentleman named Chad Calek. Calek.
Who I've been unable to get a hold of, by the way.
I've
tried, and he did mention. Now, here's the thing: I watched his latest podcast.
Yes,
and he had mentioned that people had reaching out to him, and some of them had. I wrote him a pretty detailed email,
right?
Like who I was, what I did, what my experience was, and there was some stuff in the Phantom Rider series movies. I'll just call it series movies that I was able to easily connect to other UFO phenomena from my vast research and memory,
right?
And provided some documentation to him on that. Now, he has not responded to me, but he had mentioned that people who obviously sounded like they knew their shit were reaching out to him, and he appreciated it. But again, he wasn't sure who the hell we were.
Right.
Were we plants? Which makes total sense, and I get where he's coming from.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
Regardless.
So dialing it back a couple steps. The first movie in this whole group that pair up Chad and Craig is called Sir NoFace. I don't know how much you remember from that.
Yeah.
Basically, and it's a weird set of circumstances. Basically, the Australian government approached Craig and Craig's paranormal team about doing investigations on Cockatoo Island, which is...
It's where my wife would spend all her time, Cockatoo Island.
Or 3 or 4.
Ex-wife, yes.
Or 3 or 4. Whoa! It was...
you, honey.
It was... it was started out as a penal island, and then they converted over to making ships at the start of World War I, World War II, and then they went to commercial ships. But basically, it was a shipyard, a state-controlled shipyard, and has since been decommissioned. I think I want to say 81 or 91. Maybe it was 91. They stopped using it, and they turned it into on the grounds part. They allow people to go there and camp. It's like a big park, and then all the other buildings are kind of locked off and cordoned off from people. But Craig and his team, Whisper, was given access to these to do paranormal investigations. The story that the government gave them was that they had heard, they've been hearing stories about, hauntings and this, that, and they wanted their team to go in, gave them carte blanche, go in, and they went in for 2 years. 2 years. They had open access to investigate this place and find out what the deal is with the hauntings. So it was one of the last times they were in, and they actually caught what they described as a full body apparition on film. They had set up a camera in the officers' quarters where this entity they called Sir, because the only way he would talk to them is if they addressed him as Sir. They wouldn't get any responses until they said Sir. These were his quarters. So they set up a camera, and they went on and did some more investigations in other areas. And when they went back to get the footage, it was a pretty uneventful night and whatever. In which they, believe me, there's to get an hour show for a paranormal TV program, there's several days worth of investigating to go on.
Yeah,
it's not all craziness happening.
No, it's a pain in the ass.
It is. So they review, and all of a sudden they see this head and torso and arm peek out from a doorway, then back in.
Yep. Maybe
1.5 2 seconds total. And they're like, holy shit. So they went back, tried to debunk it. They tried to have a person back there. It's all a different person, was really too tall. Bottom line, the movie ends. Everyone's under the impression they've caught a full body apparition. Blah, blah, blah. Next movie to come out, because when they started showing this evidence around Australia to people that were interested, they were getting a common response that people thought it was an alien.
Yes, it looked like one.
It looked like a gray. And so a lot of times they're trying to show this full body apparition, and people think they're showing them an alien they'd captured on film. You got to ask yourself, why was an alien in this place at that time? It was like 4 a.m, 3:27, something like that in the morning. But now they think they've got not a full body apparition, but an alien, a gray that was for some reason in this location at that time, and they had captured it. So the next movie, Two-Face, the Gray, they go into to start exploring this. And it gets crazy. It gets crazy because then they have other people come in, and a mysterious tattooed guy gives them
the tattoo of the Amun-Ra on him, if I remember correctly.
Was it?
Yeah.
He was
he had a
lots of tattoos.
Yeah, but Amun-Ra was like very pronounced.
Yes.
So there's a connection to Amun-Ra in this, by the way. So, go ahead.
So he gave him all this kind of information, and Chad just kind of said, yeah, okay. Took it, set it aside. He was in the middle of doing a tour for the Sir NoFace thing. And then there's the introduction of another character called Daniel David Skyfall. And this gentleman supposedly has been on the inside working the disinformation aspect of things for years and years. And he's decided to come clean, and he's picked these two guys to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jeff asked me about my title. If you're looking at the title, it says Alien Nesting Doll. So if you know what a nesting doll is, it's a doll And there's no downside, no downside, no.
Yeah.
To me, this is what this is. This is like a nesting doll.
Right.
It's a
the box inside of a box.
It's the alien that they're showing you. Then there's the alien that they're trying to not show you. Then they're showing it to you again.
Right.
It's just yeah. It's a box inside a box inside a box inside a box inside a hole. This Skyfall, I won't say his whole name. Skyfall gave specific predictions to things that were going to happen.
He was wrong about something.
He was. That's or at least his timing wasn't what it was supposed to be. Which was
continue. I've got stuff to go with this, but go ahead.
Okay, so and then the third movie to come out, Phantom Rider, kind of takes you to the next step. And then this one is crazy because now these guys are talking about everything that's going on. They're talking about David Skyfall. They're talking about the fact that they're being threatened, that they're being followed, all this other kind of crazy men in black type things, vague threats, vague kind of scenarios.
Well, wait a minute, not vague. I mean,
they didn't say we're gonna. They were
no, the men in look when these. I don't know if these considered the Men in Black. Now, here's the thing: like, you remember the Mothman prophecies?
Yeah.
Okay, so that movie was it was Hollywood, but it didn't happen that way. They tied. Remember the character named Ingrid Cold? Okay, he's at the old cement factory, and the being comes up to him, and he's talking to him, and says, "My name's Ingrid Cold," and he calls him on the phone. He's in the hotel room, and John Klein is like, "What's underneath the bed?" He goes, "Your shoes are underneath the bed." This kind of shit,
right?
That character's name was Ingrid Cold, which is correct. Now he was an alien. Okay, it had nothing to do with the Mothman, but the Mothman movie took this two things and combined them together. Okay, it's a great movie. Don't get me wrong, but you got to remember there's a lot of Hollywood in there.
Oh yeah, always is.
But the whole character of Ingrid Cold is something different. Now, there was a drawing. There was a salesman. I don't remember what the hell he sold. Maybe mattresses or some shit. And he's driving. This is before the Mothman happened, like a month, 2 months before. He's driving in an area, and a ship lands basically on the highway in front of him. He stays in his vehicle. This being comes out of the ship and he introduced himself as Ingrid Cold. And he had this smile. The entire time he had a smile on his face, like it was almost imprinted. And he's talking to him, and he's talking about his race and just different, you're not going to hurt you, bullshit, whatever. So this guy tells a story. Everyone thinks he's nuts, ruins his marriage, blah, blah, blah. The guy's ruined, right? So there was other sightings of this being and this craft later. Now, fast forward to which one was before the Phantom Rider?
Two-Face.
All right, Two-Face and Phantom Rider. Okay, so where's the characters? So Craig. Now he's the one that lives in Australia.
Yeah.
Right, so Craig, he encounters these beings. They come to his doorstep, right? And I'm going to paraphrase. You got to watch this shit to get the right way. I'm going to paraphrase, all right? But they basically show up at his house, all right, and they're at his doorstep. And now, when he describes what they look like, okay, and the pictures they attached in the documentary, they look exactly how Ingrid Cold looked. I mean, to a T.
Yeah.
All right, there's a connection, which I found fascinating. They're not really Men in Black per se. This is something a little different. And maybe Men in Black are the same thing. I don't know. But Men in Black are usually described a little bit different than how these guys are described by both parties, Craig and the gentleman in, Virginia back in the day. Or was it Virginia? I don't remember anymore. West Virginia, sorry. So long story short, there is a connection between these beings. I think it may be the same species. The way Craig had described them with the threats, whatever their intentions are, is to keep information quiet. I don't believe, based on the information I've seen in my lifetime, but these things have our best interests in mind. But that's just my opinion. But continue on in your story.
So what I got away from the movies, basically, they're saying, at least Skyfall says, that mankind was given 3 strikes. We managed to hit every single one of them. Development of the nukes and use of nuclear weapons. Deep drilling. I didn't realize this, but this, I guess. Apparently, at some point, we drilled so deep that we punctured the core.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And it had some bad effects on our weather, which forced us to start doing things like chemtrails and weather seeding, and we had to start manually controlling the weather because of the damage that was done there. And then the last thing was we've attacked aliens, and this is where some of the information they give us in this talks about the fact that they say they've documented, and when they say they, I mean Skyfall has given them information, the tattooed guy has given them information, where we have fought aliens 5 different times already, and not always to a good conclusion. So there's that. The big thing they're saying is that we're going to be looking at some point here an alien attack false flag,
which is a real possibility. Because that's not the first time that's come up in UFO literature.
And it's going to be one of those Independence Day moments where you got the president standing in front of his fighter pilots making a speech that this is the point in human history that we join together, not as just a nation, but as a world, to fight off this alien invasion, blah, 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 blah. So the false flag is going to be used to, I guess, usher in the new world order. One government, one world. This is what I'm getting from the movie as I'm watching it.
Right. Can I interrupt for a moment?
Absolutely.
All right. So this is an important timeline here. What this gentleman, what's his name again? The guy making this?
Chad.
No.
Craig.
No.
Oh, Skyfall. David.
This David Skyfall character. All right. Now here's an important timeline. This is not the first time that type of information was released, almost to the T. Okay. The first person to report this was actually the secretary for Dr. von Braun, who was, worked for NASA, who was a former Nazi scientist that was escorted over here under Operation Paperclip after World War II. He helped with our rocket program, obviously, and shot to the moon, and our nuclear weapons, and nuclear rockets, and that thing. But anyway, Dr. von Neumann actually had told her that they're gonna do certain things. The powers that be, the people in charge, in order. It's a terrible terminology to use to people in charge, but regardless, they want control. They want complete control over the human population on this planet, meaning the other humans, elitists, if you call them, if you will. And one of the things they were going to use first, they were going to try terrorism. Okay, so we had 9/11. Okay, maybe coincidence, who knows? All right, this is 1974, by the way. But this was told to her. Okay, 1974. Then it would be an asteroid, maybe an asteroid or some kind of cosmic event like that would threaten the planet, and all humanity had to come together and to fight off this potential asteroid. And the third card they were going to play, and this is what von Neumann told her, the third card, the final desperation mode, would be an alien, fake alien invasion. They needed something so terrifying, something so horrific to humankind that it would that the entire world population would come together and like, oh, we got to fight this. And that would allow each government to have complete control over its people, kind of like the coronavirus, where nations were locked down. You couldn't leave your house. We went through in New York State. We couldn't do nothing. Nope. It happened everywhere. And maybe okay, it was a real virus. I'm not saying it was fake. Obviously, I'm not saying that. I know people personally who died from it. So I can't say that was fake. But it was, if you wanted to test something, okay, this was a perfect test, regardless of was it meant to or not.
It had a hell of a PR person involved with it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the Skyfall character, I kind of chuckle at this. I'll tell you why. And I'm not laughing at the gentleman involved. They were given this information
Right.
from this guy, and I get where this comes from. But this is how the intelligence community works. I mean, I've seen it over and over and over. I've been doing this for 38 years. I've been researching this shit. Okay, what they do is they find someone. Usually, it's a UFO guy, like a UFO investigator, and
Right.
they feed them all kinds of bullshit, and they give them just enough evidence to make it sound real. And really what it is a disinformation campaign. It's to hide the tracks of the shit they're really doing and to put more false shit out there that confuses people so they don't know what's real, what isn't.
Down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The latest victim of this before, and again, I'm not saying this happened to these guys, but the latest victim before this incident would be Tom DeLonge from Blink 182. Is 182 is the name of the band, right? Yeah. So he started this thing called, To the Stars. Somehow the intelligence community felt this is the guy they want to get the UFO fucking shit out about. So they take the guitarist or bassist, whatever, from this fucking rock group, and like, this is the guy we're going to use, right? So his Academy of the Star, okay, if you go on their webpage, okay, now before I went on there like a year ago, there was stuff up there. It was really kind of cool. Now it's almost all merchandise. So there's cups, there's shirts and shit for sale, sweatshirts, all kind of movies, documentaries, all kinds of shit UFO related that you could buy. So what had happened was they had put out stock options for employees, right? Mm-hmm. So they've only sold about like $1 million worth of stock, right? But with their employee shit, they're at $38 million in the hole. They're $38 million in the hole, this corporation. Now, what is impressive about them is they do indeed have a very well-connected board of directors. I mean, these people are the people you'd want on your board if you're, investigating UFOs. There's no doubt about it. These people are all well-connected. McDonnell Douglas, Boeing, Lockheed Martin. Intelligence community guys, former heads of the CIA for the Northeast Division, that kind of shit. These people have the right credentials. My fear is, though, that Tom DeLonge is, kind of like an Oswald. He's a yuppie. He's being used for his fame and fortune, if it will. He has a voice, and younger people listen to him. And these people may be spreading or giving him misinformation or disinformation purposely. Before, you go back 3 or 4 years ago, the information coming out of his group was very intense. It was rapid fire. And it was a lot of good information. Now it's like a drip. It's like someone took the water, just turn it right off. So I think this poor guy, this Tom DeLonge, got used. And it kind of fits in a scenario with this. What's this other guy's name again? The secret guy?
Oh, David Skyfall.
Yeah, the Skyfall character. All right. I'm sorry, it fits the same pattern as disinformation. Now, it doesn't mean there's not kernels of truth. There's always kernels of truth in this shit that they throw out there. And it's up to the investigators to really do their due diligence to, I can't speak, I've been drinking too much, to investigate what those kernels of truth are. And to make sure that some of the information is correct. But so anyway, I'm just saying that this could be a disinformation program. Not the gentleman involved.
No, I don't think
they're not. They don't know this.
They are not
right, but they have to be
knowing
very,
accomplices.
They have to be very aware. There are alternative motives here. Now, the beings that came and threatened him. Okay. That's the real shit right there. That shit, they don't fuck around. That ain't fake shit. He's not making it up. I guarantee you he's not making it up. I guarantee you that shit happened. I can tell you every ounce of my human being, I'm telling you that shit happened. And that's the shit you should listen to. Any kind of information coming that way is the real shit. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. Go ahead.
So some other things they point out that seemed interesting. He talked about our presidents, and pretty much the last handful of presidents have all been selected and made sure they made it in office. Pretty much they got Trump in there. to help leak this information, figuring that he is an outsider of the normal political
I'm
rounds.
trying to give him the face like I had something.
Well, what do you got?
Well, this is
Jump
important.
In. This is
all right. So
jump
in the meantime, I've been on my phone texting my other half. Like, hey, remember that book? Where is it? Blah, 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 blah. I need it right now. Da, 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 da. So the alien the ghost alien, whatever, Mr. Sir, lots or lot, whatever, was in the closet, right? Right. So I challenge people to look at that particular images. And then I want you to look at a video taken by Mr. Stan Romonsky, who was an alien abductee, claimed alien abductee, who has very similar footage of inside his home. And it's on his documentary, which I think is free on Amazon. If it's not, it's on Tubi for free, TUBI. With commercials, obviously. Stan Romonsky, he was a claimed alien abductee. Long story short, this guy had never been in trouble with the law of his life, never had any problems, blah, blah, blah. He's an alien abductee. He started telling the story and shit. He got threatened. Very similar fashion. And they told him, okay, and like it happened to this gentleman, if you don't stop, they're going to find child porn on your fucking computer.
Yep.
This happened to this guy. Okay, he's not the first one. There's another case I can bring up later. But this happened to this guy, ruined his reputation. The guy's image was destroyed. He can't even own a computer today. Can't even own one. It turns out the cop that turned over the evidence, right, was brought up on corruption charges 2 years later, and like most of his shit got thrown out because he was making up evidence.
Imagine that.
And he disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
He was, again, I'm pretty sure he was an NSA or CIA agent.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So this poor guy got derailed, the Stan guy, right? Mm-hmm. This shit really happens. See, this is how they destroy people. If they can't destroy the evidence or what you were saying, they destroy your character. This is how the intelligence community works. So this happened to another gentleman. This is back in the 80s, right? And Colonel Wendell Stevens, highly respected colonel. That was a colonel, right? And he did UFO search for use all the UFO programs back in the 70s and the 80s. This is the guy, right? So again, he got threatened. If you don't stop, they're going to get nailed with child porn. Sure as shit, Stevens was nailed with child porn. This is a pattern they use. Now, there was a movie that came out many years ago, maybe 20 years ago now that I think about it, because I've been divorced that long, called the X-Files movie. And in the X-Files movie, there was a doctor who wrote all these books, and he got raided. He was in the hall, in the alleyway, and his house was being raided by the police and by not by the FBI, but the police. And they were looking for child porn. And he, when Mulder comes out, I don't know if you remember the scene, he's like, well, the doctor says, what's this time? Child porn again? It was an indication because the producers and the writers for the movie, for the X-Files, did their research.
All right.
They know this is a pattern that the NSA and the CIA use to destroy people. It's one of the things I worry about, believe it or not. And this is one of the reasons I stopped contacting people in the Central Intelligence Agency and NSA when I found out who they were. Anvil knows this. I started contacting people. And I stopped because the more I did my research, the more I'm like, you know what? I don't need child porn found on my computer. No, I don't need my name destroyed, my family's name destroyed. And it scares the living shit out of you. But continue with your story, sir. Sorry.
So, information. What I was saying, they kind of saw Trump. They selected him, and then they started to get Trump fired up about the alien stuff. He declassifies things, creates a space force. And this is all, again, if you're looking at the whole picture, these were steps that had to be taken anyways. Why not have an outsider like Trump do it?
Right.
And get the ball rolling. And then a more mainstream president can keep it going. So, yeah, I like both the guys, the documentarian Chad and Craig, but I think they're dupes. I think they're dupes in this whole thing. As far as, they're not being given legitimate information.
Well, I think they're getting some legitimate information. There's no doubt in my mind some of it's legitimate. The footage is real. Why it was shown to them the way it was, who knows?
Right.
What we don't know And this is part of the enigma of this whole fucking crazy shit with UFOs and aliens and other the bullshit that goes along with it, and the secret agencies and Majestic 12 and everything else in that fucking fucked up world. Is we come from this whole subject when we research it from the only aspect we know is humanity. We're humans, so that's all we know. So we come from a human aspect of logic in how these things may think. And so for us to decipher why they're doing what they're doing and how they're doing it, we can't. There's no way that we can computerize in our minds and put it together. And that becomes frustrating. People forget that the sun, Sol, is a very young star in the general scheme of things in the Milky Way. There are stars in our galaxy alone, that are billions of years older than our solar system. It's been reported that Betty and Barney Hill, that had the UFO encounter back in I think it was the early 60s, reported they were shown a star map. Later turned out to be it was Zeta Reticuli 1 and Zeta Reticuli 2, which I cannot remember the exact distance in my head right now from the Sol system, our planet Earth. But for shits and giggles, let's say it's 30 light years. It could be shorter, but I'm going to say 30 light years for now. That particular star system is, I think if I remember correctly, was at least 2 billion years older than our sun. So any life form developing on that planet would have a 2 billion head start if everything was equal,
right?
Than what we would have. So the things that are coming here, alien, multidimensional, whatever they may be, potentially could be billions of years ahead of us. And, quite frankly, you don't, if I don't go out my backyard and if there's a squirrel out there, I don't get down on my hands and knees and start talking to the fucking squirrel or talk to the fucking ant I see in the driveway.
Not sober.
Not sober, right. But they're not going to understand me. I'm not going to understand the fuck anything they're saying to me. There's such a huge difference in our technology and our mental capabilities. And we could be facing a very similar aspect here.
Sure.
There's just no way to connect. The differences are too vast. And I just throwing that as a possibility.
Okay. So that's kind of what we want to talk about tonight, just getting that aspect going. I know Jeff had some other alien stuff.
Oh, we got some great stuff for next week. Holy shit. Wait till you see the show.
So as far as paranormal, the movies that you want to watch, if you want to watch a movie, are NoFace, and then you need to watch Two-Face the Gray, Phantom Rider, and they're making I don't know how it's going to go now, but there was a fourth movie in the pipe called Pale Rider.
Yeah, and that's like from the fucking Bible and shit. There's a book called Powell, by the way, which is a great book. You should read it.
Western.
No, that was my favorite Clint Eastwood movie.
Yeah, it was.
But there's a book called Pale Rider. I think it's called Pale Rider or Pale Horse or some shit. Pale Horse, that's it. Or Horse Pale. I don't remember. Pale Horse. Read it. It's a great UFO book. I don't believe everything in it, but it's fascinating to read. Oh, and I saw Dr. Von Neumann before. Actually, I fucked that all up because I've been drinking whiskey all night, and I apologize. It was actually Dr. Von Braun. Dr. Von Braun, excuse me. Dr. Von Neumann was actually one of the original 12 members of Majestic 12. Back to you.
Back to 12. Cool. If you want to see some more of Chad's work, he's a documentarian. His first one that I was aware of was American Ghost Hunter, which was kind of interesting. And he did another one called A Blood Red Sky, where I think they did an investigation at an asylum or something. So there's some stuff out there. I'll make that stuff available online for people. Some other interesting things.
Yes.
And I post a lot of stuff to our Facebook page. Apparently, according to some former NASA employees, we've had people on Mars since 1979.
That's bullshit.
Okay. Well, I figured that way. And also,
folks, that's complete bullshit.
Also, a woman says that she was forced into slavery and to work on the moon as a slave.
As a sex slave?
I don't know. She didn't get specific.
Well, except my fucking ex-wife would sign up for that shit.
But apparently we've had people working on the moon, slavery. We get them to go to NASA, and then we send them up there and put them to work.
For the record, I am not an alcoholic.
There is apparently there's one of the aliens, I'm guessing it's probably reptilian or insectoid, that's using a mind control weapon. And there's a group that feels that would be very very bad to be in the hands of humans.
Mind control. Well, here's the whole thing with the alien abduction thing. I mean, it's not like maybe it is a device. I don't know. All I know is these things can speak telepathically. They don't have to move their mouths. It's in their head when they see you, and they control shit. I mean, you can't even move when you're in the presence of these things. And, these guys, reported it as well. When they showed up on his doorstep, he couldn't move. I mean, that's what happens. You can't move. They're shooting shit in your mind, and they tell you shit, and you can answer back in your mind, or you can use your mouth or your guards, but you can't move your body. It's not like you can take a swing at these guys. It doesn't work that way. No. Another thing they'll do too is the grays, the little guys, you look in their eyes, you get these big black fucking eyes, and so you can lose yourself in the ocean of these eyes, and they fill your head with shit, like catastrophic shit. Like you'll be in a field, or you'll see a playground, and this is like something and I use the playground things like the Terminator movie, where the kids she's on the other side of the fence, and the kids are playing in the playground, and next thing is a nuclear blast, and everyone's skin's falling off their fucking face. It's in the Terminator movie. It's a great movie. Yeah. But it's a very similar thing. That's what they do. They plant that shit in your head, and you'll see very similar scenes of that. Cities burning, people crawling with half their skin falling off trying to get the water, or massive winds knocking down forest, and the wind's so strong it's ripping off the pavement off the street. Right. I mean, this is the kind of shit they implant in your mind. And I did many abduction stories I've investigated and read in my life. Literally, again, I'm in the thousands at this point, literally in the thousands. And under hypnosis, what these people report is so similar. It'll scare the shit out of you, because it's over and over and over and over and over again. But I'm not sure if these images are being shown are really what is going to be, what's going to happen, or if it's just to judge our emotions to see how we react to certain things. Right. Maybe it's some kind of test. This is all this shit. We don't know anything. And I don't think, frankly, is the small group that people control this shit. I don't think they know much more than anybody else. Sure, they know more about the technology aspect of it, because they've been working on it for, since the late 40s. But besides that, it's not like these things hang out with these guys and have conversations, so they don't know, maybe they've captured one or two, which we'll get into next week. Who knows? But even if you captured one, or you had one from a crashed disc or whatever, how much information are you going to get that's going to be reliable? What this thing is. Okay, let's say the race is only a few thousand years ahead of us, a few thousand. They still know they're smarter than us, and they're going to fuck with our minds. They're not going to tell us shit. Oh, I'm going to tell Monkey Boy this. They look at us like fucking monkeys.
Exactly.
So, anyway, I'm on a roll.
You are on a roll.
Well, sorry, folks. I get that way.
He's not sorry.
No, I'm not, actually.
He's not sorry. Let's jump into, actually, you know what? We're at an hour. We're not going to go a whole 2 hours tonight, I don't think. But
no, probably not.
We should do a shot. Yeah, let's do a shot.
Yeah, which one do you want?
Give me that peanut butter chocolate thing.
Peanut butter chocolate sauce? We have special glasses for this, folks. You don't get to see these things, but these are Anvil found these. Skulls. Drink. And it went with the original program really well. Let's talk
ghosts.
Which somebody else runs now. I don't know who this gentleman is. I don't think I've ever met him. Anvil, your pictures are up on their website. You may want to check this out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I forgot to mention that earlier.
Pictures of what?
I don't know. You and Alani somewhere.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you want to check that out. So
you
may know him.
Is Will still involved with it?
As far as I know, Will is not. There's pictures of him up there as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to talk to Will sometime. I really don't know. It's been a long time.
All
right. So we did a lot of toast lately to a lot of people, which is nice. And we did a Putin last week, so we can't do Putin again. So here's to the Ukrainian and the Russian people. Let's hopefully find peace. To peace.
In the Eastern blocs.
Yes. Muzzle tough. I sip my stuff. That's actually pretty good shit.
Oh, that is good. That is good.
Yeah. I'd buy another bottle of this. By the way, what we did was this is stuff to hear. I don't know if you can see that correctly, but this is good shit. Try it sometime. Really great stuff. If you really want really good tasting whiskey, I can never recommend Gentleman Jack's more. This is good shit. really
Good
stuff. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. As I see them out, I need a little more. It's good stuff.
And if you're going to drink while you listen to our program, at least listen responsibly.
That's right.
Listen responsibly. Some other things going on in and around. There is some thoughts that there might be a shift in the magnetic poles.
Which would mean your toilets would spin the opposite direction, just so you know. So if your toilet right now spins one way, if you're below the the equator, it spins a different way. A lot of people don't know this, believe it or not. So if you go down to Australia, your toilet bowl, I think, actually spins in a different direction than it does here in North America. That will switch. And a pole switch, what happened was the magnetic poles actually switch. All right, so it's making this simplistic, by the way. The other shit would happen, obviously. But just remember your toilet water is going to be going the opposite fucking way.
They're saying it's not a full-blown flip of the poles, but there's been a shift, and it's causing some issues with satellites. I don't know if that's what's causing Elon Musk satellites to drop out of the sky, but Elon has been having some issues.
Fucking aliens. And here's the thing. I try to make science easy for people, all right, and that's why I use the toilet bowl analogy, because it's simple for people to understand, right? Okay, good.
Okay. Next, we were talking about that. So 80 years ago, and this to give you a little perspective. 80 years ago. Not that long ago. FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, issued Order 9066.
Can you guess? 666, almost upside down.
No, it is. And that started the internment of 120,000 Japanese at the start of World War II.
Yeah, so it's number two.
Number two. FDR, that would be a Democrat that opted to intern.
Yeah, and then Harry Truman became president after he Roosevelt croaked in the middle of the war.
Yeah.
Because Harry Truman is the one who dropped the atomic bomb.
So it wasn't good enough. We put the American Japanese, Japanese in the internment camps, but then we dropped a couple of atomic bombs.
Well, Harry Truman was a good man. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. He was actually a pretty good president. He actually had some morals. But anyway, continue on. He was a farmer, folks. But anyway.
If you listen to some of this crazy shit going on, China's looking to buy 100 million metric tons of coal from Russia. China.
No, they already made a deal. They're already done. Deal's done.
A commentator on PBS, this is funny and shit. Commentator on PBS made the comment that Trump was never good at going toe-to-toe with Putin. And that Biden would be doing a much better job of that. So, I don't know where this guy was for the last 5 years, but whatever. Jean-Luc Brunel. You may not know that name. He's 75 years old. He was...
How many years?
75.
75.
He was a talent agent, modeling agent. He wasn't a model. He was like the agent for models.
Yeah, I get it. I know what he did.
He had connections to the guy that hung himself in jail. Didn't really hang himself.
Jesus. Jeffrey,
Epstein. Right. So he was supposedly
he hung himself with the video cameras off and the guards were taking a nap.
Well, oddly enough, Jean-Luc died under a similar situation.
I saw that. Yeah.
So my question is, where is Gazelle in all this? She's got to be next. She's got to be scared shitless.
Well, I think she's making a deal. I think they're in deal process mode right now. And this is going to be the year of major shit hitting the fan. And it's not going to just be Democrats, and it ain't going to just be Republicans, but there's a lot of bad shit about to come out, I think. I mean, like, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I voted for that person, or I can't believe I contributed money to that campaign. People are going to be blown away about the shit that's going to be coming out. And all these goody two-shoes that are out there that we see every day, like the Bill Gates and shit and the Tom Hanks, they're wrapped up in this shit too. You watch. You people watch.
Oh, yeah.
So
it'll be interesting. Well, it won't be. But Bob Saget, who died a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
It came out in the final autopsy he did.
America's Funniest Home Videos.
It was.
Holy fuck. That was the dumbest show I ever fucking saw. But go ahead.
Didn't just die from a little bump on his head. They didn't show his head trauma.
Had trauma.
Had trauma like baseball bat to the noggin. So they're taking a very dark turn on Bob Saget's death. White House this week cannot confirm or deny whether Biden worked at all this week. I guess a reporter actually asked, with everything going on, what he's been up to.
We don't know.
And they could not confirm or deny that he's been doing anything this week. That just builds all kinds of confidence in you.
I'm on the shitter. Leave me alone. Someone change my bag.
Big dust off. Amazon.
Come on, man.
Has cut their charitable donations to Black Lives Matter.
Yes, I saw that.
And for all things, it's because BLM has not been transparent with the money.
Well, no, the director bought herself like a $2 million house or something. I'm throwing $2 million. It was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money, I think.
You know, and private security and all the bullshit that goes along with it. And
so
the people, the elitists, and this is what sucks. It was a good movement. I know people in it. They're good people. They don't believe white people are all the devil. Like, you got the extremists in the groups. Yes, you do. They believe this bullshit. And other races are inferior, this other crap. But it's the elitists of the group that are, again, this is human nature. And humans, given a little power, man, we want more. And we'll fuck everybody over in the process. And the leaders of the BLM movement are doing the same fucking thing.
Gesundheit.
Yes. God bless you.
Okay.
They're doing the same fucking thing, you know, and yeah, I'm shut my mouth there, but bullshit.
Just as a side, kind of funny note, nearly half of all the donations for the Canadian Freedom Convoy came from America.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Nearly half of the donations.
Well, you know, our Freedom Convoy started. They're on their way to D.C.
Has it started? Because I didn't think it was going to start till March 1st.
I think this. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's starting soon. Okay,
it's soon.
Well, soon.
I think March 1st.
But they are going to strangle. They gave the details of what they're going to strangle Washington, D.C. I mean, like everything going in.
Well, let's hope it's as nonviolent as the Canadian from the protesters' point.
No, and I think it will be. You know, it will be. It'll be interesting to see.
We're Americans. I don't know how that could be, but.
Yeah, but we're not. The people doing this aren't. They make a good living. They're not stupid. And they have a lot to lose, so they're not going to be idiots.
Yeah, but
you know,
we had all of 2020.
You're thinking
to get down
right.
How to send infiltrators in to make the worst of a bad situation.
No, that's just true too.
I'm just
There's
saying,
going to be very bad actors.
We've gotten very good at this.
Yes, we are.
Gotten very good.
Certain groups have gotten very good at
this.
And that's a whole other subject because again, some of that shit is typical CIA, NSA bullshit again. It's right down their fucking alley. It's the kind of shit they do. Sorry, folks. It's what they do. So when Kennedy wanted to break the back of the CIA, he was right. It's a fucking evil organization. I'm sorry. It's fucking evil. Weapons of mass destruction, my fucking balls. We're none. Zero. Zilch. Go ahead.
So if you're looking to break the CIA, just don't plan any trips to Dallas that week. So San Francisco, which has got to be one of the, if not the, with a capital THE, liberal areas in the country. San Francisco. This week, they did a election recall on 3 of the school board members and had them bounced off the school board for being too liberal, basically. The mask mandates, the parents got pissed.
Out.
So it's something when you're too liberal in San Francisco.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that was even possible.
Yeah, no shit.
But apparently it can be.
Yep.
Other than that, George Carlin, God rest his soul.
He's been dead for a while now.
Yeah, he is.
I'm sure
and Bill Maher.
There's nothing new out of him.
And Bill Maher agree that let kids be gross. Let them build their immune system. I actually threw up a Carlin video on our video where he talks about you got to be exposed to germs to get an immune system.
Yeah, if we're referring to the shot for the kids, I'm not a fan of it. There's absolutely no data whatsoever, not even a little bit, that shows that it's beneficial to a child. There's been no testing, none at all. I am totally against the shot for kids.
I think this is still revolving around the mask controversy for kids.
Well, okay, same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kids inherently pick up germs because they touch everything. They don't wash their fucking hands. The idea that the mask is going to prevent them from spreading it is so fucking stupid, ridiculously. It's fucking ridiculous. Everyone who's had a kid knows how ridiculous this is. Oh, he's gonna wear a mask in school. Help stop. Fuck you. You know that's stupid. You know that's stupid. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid.
Just keep an eye out because you're probably not going to hear a lot of it. The Durham investigation still going on with Hillary.
Oh yes,
that has not been.
CBS and CNN won't touch it, but I think PBS and Fox will touch it. And the BBC will touch it as well.
And if you look at Democrats in power and Democrats around the country, they're quickly jumping ship over the last 2 years of policy.
Oh yeah, yep.
They're scared to death of not just losing, but losing
badly,
huge.
Yep. In
the midterms, and they are jumping ship, and they are backpedaling, defend the police, and they're backpedaling all the COVID stuff, and they're backpedaling.
Who predicted this would happen? I don't know. I don't know.
If there was, and there weren't a lot of shows back in that time, but I'm pretty sure the few times that we were on, we were saying, "Yeah, keep an eye out, folks."
Yep.
Again, Trump's social network starts today. It may take a little while to get on it, but I got a feeling it might be worth it. So take that. It's called True Social. You can get to it anywhere online. And right now, my understanding is that only Apple has it in their app store. I don't think Microsoft is buying into it. So that may be tough to get on your phone if you have a Android. Other than that, that's all I really got. It's been a hectic week with work. And Alani and me. She's still out of work for another week and a half.
What did we go over me running over my other half's vehicle or no?
Yeah, I think we talked about that.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
That was last show.
It was last week. Yeah, I did. It was last week. I don't remember. Yeah, I smashed $5,100 with damage, folks. $5,100.
Nice.
5,000.
Nice.
Not a scratch. Literally this big on my bumper and my Hummer. This big. I'm not even fucking with you. It was this big. Her car fucking almost totaled.
Oh. So the podcast,
folks.
This will be rebroadcast as a podcast. This will be available on YouTube. We're on YouTube right now. We're also on Facebook right now. And I see we got 2 people watching from somewhere.
Hey, thank you.
So we reached at least 2 people today. If one's my nephew Pete. Pete, how you doing?
I know. Thank you, Pete.
I know. Probably sometime in March we can get you on. And I know
he's got a good Russian name.
We want to get Willie Pop. We want to get Willie Pops on, and have some interesting conversation. And it will definitely be something we want to do live and in person, with video, because I think video makes it interesting.
Yeah, video makes it interesting.
So that's all I got. Right, got anything there, Jeffrey?
No, but next week, I promise, folks, I'll have a very good program for you for mostly UFO alien shit. Yeah, I'm going to really nail it hard, and misinformation, disinformation, real information, and we're going to nail a bunch of different things. And because there's a lot of questions people have seen over the years about what's real, what's not, and I'm going to clear up a lot of that for you because this is my area of specialty. So
yeah, I'm going to have some flip top on next week. There'll be some paranormal stuff coming out towards the end of this week that I'm going to watch, and I'll bring back some reports on that. The kids, the Destination Fear group are doing a special on the 24th, and that looks like it might be interesting. Other than that, that's all I got for this week. Have you got anything else for this week?
No, I'm pretty good.
All right. So this was the first kind of test run on the video, and we'll get better with it. I got to take some measurements.
Just so you know, even though it says Corona beer, it was a free sign. It tastes like piss, but go ahead.
We'll get some. We'll upgrade some of the technology. We might do some special locations. I think we're going to try to get us up on the space station, do a broadcast from the space station.
Yeah, we did talk about this. The space station.
About doing the broadcast on the
Yeah,
space station?
we did talk about it.
Okay. But other than that,
NASA need another 7 astronauts. We're up. Okay, go ahead.
anyways, that's all I've got. Until next week, Jeff, words of wisdom?
Keep watching the skies.
Keep watching the skies.
Keep watching the skies.
Until next week, keep an eye on our Facebook page. Jump on Truth Social when you can. We're going to be on there as well.
Watch Phantom Rider. Fucking dude, documentary. You want to watch? Watch that fucking documentary.
Watch it last. Watch the first two.
I did the opposite order.
Sir NoFace, and that'll give you a good base. And then watch Two-Face the Gray.
Yep, Two-Face the Gray.
And that'll give you a whole new spin on it.
Yep.
It goes from being a disembodied, full body apparition to being a gray.
A little gray bastard.
Right. And then watch.
With an anal probe.
Then watch the Phantom. Then watch the Phantom Rider. Anyways.
Not on my ass.
And I'll put this information online. I'm gonna look up some of the Just stuff. I want to get a side-by-side comparison with Sir NoFace and the guy that's in the house that Jeff just talked about, and then we'll put that up as well. So
Mr. Stan Kaminsky.
Stan
Kaminsky or Kamansky?
Kaminsky?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I got his book.
Yeah, we got a book.
We got a book.
We got a book. When all else fails, Google it.
Yep. It'll come up.
All right. I'm gonna let Jeff get the last word because after he says what he's gonna say, I'm gonna turn this thing off.
All right. Yeah. So again, folks, watch this guy.